a little bit. So feel free to write questions in. I will do my best to answer. We've got a couple of great topics for today. Looks like Facebook just went on right now. So hi, everybody on Facebook. You guys were a little bit behind Instagram. I have to remember that. Facebook is always a little bit slower to get on live. So hi, welcome. It's Tuesday, which means Town Hall Tuesday for Certified PA Consulting. I'm Kasey D'Amato, president of Certified PA Consulting, which we founded in 2009. So we've been around for a while, and we are committing in 2021 to every Tuesday at 12:30 East Coast coming on and answering common questions. There's been a whole bunch of new questions since the pandemic in 2020, and some things are changed and some things are the same. And so we are here to answer your questions every Tuesday. If you want your questions answered, the best way is to register for the Town Hall community. I have all these people who have written in questions. If you send them in ahead of time, it's always easier because I can't always see exactly the live chat. So you can join the Town Hall community. It is free. Just email team@Certified PA Consulting, and we'll send you a quick questionnaire, and you can write in your questions. And I always pick a handful, and we'll go through them every week, as well as try to answer whatever questions come in that are relevant to those questions. So today we're talking about two big questions, and if anybody hops on live, I'm happy to answer a couple questions. We are talking, I'll write them on the sticky note. We are talking about salary reports and why they're just one tool out of every tool that you can use when you're negotiating. So salary reports, and we are talking about your collection reports if you don't get, or collection amounts if you don't get a collection report. How can you calculate that? So that's what we're talking about today on Tuesday's Town Hall. We try to hang out here for 20 minutes or so, and it does stay live on Facebook. I think on Instagram as well, but for sure on Certified PA Consulting's Facebook page, you can watch prior town halls. And we just now, finally, probably much overdue, established a YouTube channel. So we are also putting these Tuesday meetings on our YouTube channel. So if you think any of this information is valuable to any of your colleagues, feel free to share the Facebook link, the Instagram post, or direct them to our YouTube page, which is brand new. So we've gotten up a couple of the prior town hall topics, so which we're dealing with toxic personalities and dealing with competitive coworkers. Those videos are already on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube Certified PA Consulting's page, those videos are there. We just put them up. It's brand new. And today we are talking about two topics: salary reports and why they are just one tool. So let's dive into that a little bit. I've got 6 points, so I'm going to put them on a new sticky note here. There's 6 points related to salary reports and why they're just one tool when you're negotiating out of really everything that you want to think about. So the salary reports that come out, of course, they're not every single PA's perspective. They're just a perspective of the people who take the time to complete the report. So they are relevant and they are helpful, but you don't want to hang your hat only on the salary report. So whether you're getting it from AAPA or your specialty organization or Medscape or wherever you're getting it from, they're only relevant to the cohort of people that completed the survey, which is oftentimes newer grads or people with less experience, because they're the people that are a little bit more hungry to get that information. And oftentimes people that have been practicing for 10 years or more won't take the time or be bothered to fill out the survey. So you're getting a relatively small group of people compared to the whole population. So what is helpful about collection reports? What is helpful? It does give you an idea relative to other specialties. That part is pretty accurate. So what I mean by that is if you're looking at ER, dermatology, family medicine, women's health, pediatrics, don't pay attention as much to the number specifically as how it relates to the other specialties, because that can give you a pretty good idea of which specialties tend to rank a little bit higher when it comes to salary potential. So that part is quite valuable and pretty consistent across salary reports that have multi-specialty, like the AAPA report, for example, or Medscape, for example, because even though you're getting a relatively smaller cohort of people responding to the survey, you're still, and maybe people that are earlier in their career, you're still going to get a good idea of how that specialty compares to other specialties. So you can get a sense of which salary tends to be the highest. Again, don't pay so much attention to the number. We're going to get into that in a minute. So the first bullet point to remember is what it related to salary reports that is helpful is relative comparison. Relative comparison. Okay, that's number one. Sorry if there's typos here. Typing and talking at the same time. Okay, got it. All right. Number 2 point. It's good to get just a rough idea, just a ballpark number, even though those numbers can be, the actual salaries can be very much broader than what that report is only going to show one number in what is a big range. So it's, for those of us who have businesses, it's like looking at your balance sheet. It shows that your balance of your business at that one point in time. It's showing one number as the average or the median or whatever it is out of a big range, in a lot of cases, a very big range. So, but what is helpful is it can give you just a rough, very rough idea of the salary. So that's another reason why they are helpful, salary reports. I got another typo in there. Okay, gotta fix that one. All right, number 3, it's not always the best idea to compare to others when you're negotiating. So do you really want your salary to be based on what a colleague before you was being paid? Or do you want to really establish your own salary that's right for you, for your role, what you uniquely are going to bring to the practice? And I promise you, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be more lucrative for you to negotiate for your role, and what your value is to the practice will be and should be higher than your colleagues, because everybody's different and everybody's bringing something different. Or it could be different than your colleagues. Maybe your colleague worked full time. Maybe they worked 50 hours and you're going to work 35 or something like that. So when you're looking at the salary report and they're considering full time, well, full time, is that 36 hours plus? Well, there's a big difference between 36 hours and say 50 hours. That's a big difference of time, a big difference of collections and revenue that person's bringing into the practice. And it's not only about revenue, it's also about non-revenue value. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So one thing that I want to bring up is bringing a report to your conversation when you're negotiating can actually hurt you, because it's comparing your value to somebody else. And what if the people who completed that survey didn't bring as much value, whether it's revenue or non-revenue value, as you're intending to bring? So be careful and cautious. It's not always good to compare yourself to others in a public way. So I'm going to write comparison. The typos. Comparison to colleagues is sometimes equals to apples and oranges. It's not always the same. What you're bringing to the table can be very different than somebody else. So keep that in mind. It's not always good to compare to somebody else. Okay. Point number 4 that I wanted to bring up. It's really important to understand the numbers in the collections, whether you're in private practice, which it's super important, because if you're in private solo practice and there's just one practice owner, or maybe there's a couple of partners, it's really like a small business entity. It operates like any small business would operate. And it's really important to know your collections, even if you have to estimate, which we're going to talk about that as well. If you're in a hospital setting, it's a little trickier to understand. And in some cases, hospitals can move money from department to department, so there's a little bit more wiggle room. And certainly if you're in a VA setting or something like that, there may be some government or grant money or other money coming in. So it's a little bit different in teaching to have other revenue in. Particularly if you're in private practice, if you can, even in a hospital setting, it's good to understand. Understanding collections is really important, and that is what is not captured on the salary reports. So when you're looking at that mean or median salary, what are the collections for that person? We don't know. We don't have that information. And that's a huge tool and piece of data that's missing when you're having your negotiations. You really do want to know the numbers, because ultimately you're generating money as a PA provider. or NP provider, and that you were costing the business or the practice or the hospital because your salary and your benefit package and what have you. So you do want to understand that ratio of what you're able to generate and what you're costing. So if you don't know your collections, you want to estimate, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So the salary report, another reason why it's just one tool but not the whole tool, is you're really just getting a small piece of information. You don't know the collections of the people that answered the survey, and that can be a wide range. And you also don't know what other value they're bringing to the practice, which we're going to get into here. So bullet point number 5 is you also want to understand if your goals for yourself, advancing your clinical skills in a certain way, or getting involved with leadership or management, or overseeing staff, or heading up a satellite, or starting a new team, or starting some research, whatever your vision or your goals are for yourself, are you in line with the practice's goals for you? And we talk a lot about this in our negotiation masterclass, because this is the number one reason that people get career burnout or feel frustrated in their particular role. Number one. And we're about to launch another masterclass where we dive deep into this topic, because if you don't know what the practice's goals are and you haven't identified your own, there's a very high chance you will not be on the same page and you will not be happy, and your negotiation conversation may not go well. So you have to understand about how to align goals for yourself as well as the practice, and identify if you're both on the same page, then negotiating is a lot easier. Now, how do you get this information in a salary report? You don't. We don't know if that person, if that PA answering the salary report has identified if they are in line with the goals of the practice or the hospital to grow together or not. Or maybe that person is doing something that they didn't really think they were going to be doing, and maybe the practice expects something different of them, and it's a semi-dysfunctional situation that's probably heading for career burnout down the road. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what the reason why that person took the time to complete the survey. Hopefully it was to help other people, but we don't know if that person is ultimately feeling frustrated in their role, in which case negotiating is going to be very challenging. So lastly, you've got to bring more value. That is key. Bringing value. I'm putting this one in caps with exclamation points. When you're negotiating, it is much more powerful to bring more value, whether it is revenue or non-revenue value, which we talk a lot about that in the masterclass, over a few hours. It's more than we can do on today's town hall. But bringing more value to the table is really important, much more important than bringing a paper or a salary report PDF that you email to your supervising doc or hiring manager and you say, hey, look, this is what other PAs are getting paid. So how does that relate to you? Maybe that person is bringing more revenue value. Maybe that person's bringing more non-revenue value. Maybe that person's aligned their goals with the practice's goals. Who knows? You don't know. So having a conversation about bringing your value, how do you help the other person, is going to be 10 times more valuable than salary report. So salary reports are one tool, but remember, just one tool out of many tools when you're coming into your negotiation process. So let's switch gears a little bit, because now that we talked a lot about the 6 tools, or kind of the 6 other things you want to look at related to salary reports and beyond. And let's pause for a minute and shift gears and talk about, how do you estimate your collections if you don't get a collection report? Let me make a new sticky note. Hang on here. Let me see if I can. I'm not a tech person, you guys, so this is very tricky for me. It's like walking and chewing gum. Okay. Let's talk about how to estimate your collections if you don't get a report. It's not as complicated as it seems. Okay, so this is estimating collections. And remember, collections are just one tool. There's non-revenue value that you can bring as well. Okay, estimating collections. What can you do to estimate your collections? Keep track literally on a notepad, right? A sticky notepad, any notepad, put in your pocket. Keep track of how many patients you see a day, and the most common procedure codes that you're using, right? Patients per day. And number 2, let's call it, I'm going to say the 12 most common codes you use. Then literally you can just make a tick mark. I know that it is tedious, but you don't have to do this forever. If you do this for 1 week or 2 weeks, probably is better than 1 week. You could have a slow week. So if you do this for 2 weeks, you're going to get track for 2 weeks. You're going to get an idea of how many times you used each of those codes. So just write the 12 codes, in a line, and then just do the usual, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just tick mark off how many times you use each code. Every day, every time you see a patient, make a tick mark. And then at the end of the week, you can count up, okay, 5, 10, 20. I used this code, 40 times this week, this code 100 times, this code 20 times. And then you can look up the reimbursements for the big insurance companies in your area, because it will vary across the country. So if you're in Rhode Island or you're in New York, you can look up the reimbursements for those codes for Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Aetna, Medicare, and you can find, or you can call your billing office. That's even better. Call your billing office and ask them what the reimbursement is. So then you track your codes for 2 weeks, and then you look up and you find out the reimbursement. Writing this here so it's there. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay. You find out the reimbursement for those codes, and then you can calculate what you billed out over that 1 week or 2 week period, and you can extrapolate that out for the year. Remember, you're not working 52 weeks a year because you're taking vacation time, CME time. So you're probably working somewhere like 48 weeks a year if you're working full time, something like that, depending on how much CME and how much vacation time you get. So once you calculate how much you're billing out per week or 2 weeks, you can figure out what you probably bill out annually. Now that's what you bill out. If you can get the actual reimbursements from the insurance carriers, great. You can calculate probably what's being reimbursed. Keep in mind there is deductibles and copays, and some of that stuff gets written off for various reasons. So you won't collect all of that, but it can give you a rough idea. I bet you will get within 15%, probably 15 to 20% of what your actual collections are. So if you just track on a notepad in your pocket the most common 12 codes that you use, don't worry about if you're using a code that you just use once every few months, don't track it. You don't need to get it exactly perfect if you're estimating. If you can get within 15% of what's reality for you, that's enough really for you to run some calculations when you're calculating cost of practice and some of the other tools that we talk about using when you're negotiating. So it's not as complicated as it seems. Just keeping track for a week or 2 weeks. You could do it different times of the year, because those of you who have been in practice for a long time know that there are some seasonality trends. Sometimes the beginning of the year, like we're in right now in January, can be a little bit slower. The end of the year is typically very busy when people have met their deductibles. And there's some other seasonality trends. In the summertime, people go on vacation. Sometimes patient volume is lower, or back to school time. So you can notice definitely some seasonality trends. So you could do this at a couple different points of the year and double check and see if you think you're on track. Now, if you can have a conversation with your office manager or supervising physician or practice owner about the importance of being able to see collection reports, it's not only for your negotiating benefit, it is also for your billing efficiency benefit. So it's really important, if you can, to see your billing and your collection, because you'll learn why certain codes are being denied, or you'll learn why it's important to recall a patient rather than do a lot more procedure codes if you're going to be limited for Medicare, for example. It may be better to have that person come back in a month if it's something non-urgent, if you're going to be capped, then take another 20 minutes of your time for something that's not going to be reimbursable. So it's very, very helpful for PAs to have access to collection reports to really learn how to bill efficiency, to understand why codes are reimbursed, when they're denied, to recognize seasonal trends. Because if you can recognize those trends, for my patients, I'll schedule a lot of annual checkups in January, because I know that that's a time of year in dermatology that can be slower. So I will have patients schedule for their annual checkups, or if there was an aesthetic procedure that they talked about maybe the year before, then I'll recommend that they schedule that in January, because I know if I don't recommend January as a time frame, that if I let it organically happen, then it will be a slower month. So if you can recognize seasonal trends, you can help with your follow-up schedule and your recall schedule to help fill in the voids of some of those seasonal trends that tend to be slower. So it's really, really helpful to see collections. It's not just about negotiating. It really is about being a lot smarter and more sophisticated and truly thinking like a boss, which is what we teach at Certified PA Consulting. We have our Master the Boss Mindset Masterclass series, which our next class, if you haven't heard and haven't seen, is coming out the first 2 weeks of March. We just opened up registration this week. So make sure, if you are uncomfortable negotiating, take advantage of that course. It's 6 hours with a 22-page workbook, and it will change your world for the rest of your career when it comes to negotiating. So make sure, if you're uncomfortable negotiating, make sure you're on our newsletter so you get the specials that are going in the pre-early bird registration and things like that, that are going to be getting announced here in the next week or so. Also, we have a 7-week free webinar series coming out. February is all about salaries, negotiating student loans, how some of the political changes are going to be affecting salaries potentially. We have some great guest speakers coming on for our weekly webinar series for the entire month of February. March, we're shifting gears, all about business, marketing yourself, non-clinical roles. Again, some great guest speakers. We have panels of experienced PAs who are super successful coming on, both on the salary and the success series in February, as well as on the business side. So you'll be getting not only my perspective, but also perspective of panels of our peers and colleagues. There's so many people out there. If you want to share, please reach out to us, team at Certified PA Consulting. If we have space in our panel, would love to have you. So this next 7 weeks, we have a weekly free webinar every single week, 100% free. So make sure you take advantage of that. We've really put a lot of effort into bringing in some of the top leaders in the industry to help everybody with business, money, finance, salary negotiating, student loans, all the above, non-clinical business. These are things you don't learn in PA school. You know, and we have that experience. We own multiple businesses and companies, and you know, have been the experts in PA salaries and negotiating and business for over a decade. And we're happy to bring more resources and more experts. So please take advantage of the free webinar series. You can go on the website certifiedpaconsulting.com and you can register for the free webinars. Each week is a different Zoom invite link. So if you're not on that list, you won't get the invitation. It comes in your email, and every week is a different Zoom link invitation. So make sure you register. It's right on the homepage, halfway down on certifiedpaconsulting.com. You'll see free webinar series. You just click there. As a very short, like quick questionnaire, so that we make sure that we're answering, or we're having our expert panels answer the questions that are relevant for you. So make sure you register for that if you haven't already. And of course, every Tuesday I am here. And excitingly, we are going to be on YouTube, on our YouTube channel as well. It's brand new, so check it out. We just put everything live there. So hop on over there if you want to watch anything on replay. We'll make sure that we get it over there. So please, also town hall, if you want your questions answered, you know, join the town hall, fill out the questionnaire, send them in. You know, I'm picking through every week and making sure that we're answering 2 or 3 questions every single week. So send yours in, and we're happy to do it. Again, totally free, no obligation. You know, we're here if you need us for private consulting. We're here if you want to go through one of our masterclass courses. And we're also here to be a free resource. So whatever works for you. Don't forget 2 free PDF guides on Certified PA Consulting, one on negotiating and one on being a successful PA. So take advantage of all of the above. All right, everybody, happy Tuesday. I will see you again next Tuesday, 12:30 East Coast. Feel free to reach out if you need anything at all. Team at Certified PA Consulting, we always have somebody manning that inbox almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you reach out there, you will get somebody. You can always send me a message through Facebook or Instagram. I try to respond as quickly as I can to those. And we're here for you if you need anything related to salaries, negotiating, finance, money, business, non-clinical, or if you're stuck in your career and you want to make a transition. We are certified career coaches as well, and we have made transitions that are very difficult. So we've been there, we get it, and we're here for you. All right, everybody, happy Tuesday. I will see you again next week. Have a great day.